Hello. So in this video we're going to talk about the syllabus for our English 202D class. Now most of you by this point in your university careers have almost definitely seen a bunch of syllabi, so I'm not going to go over everything, but I want to point out some of the things that you do want to be aware of for this class. Starting with my contact information. So this is also available up on Canvas, but my email address right there is pzz17@psu.edu. That's the best way to get a hold of me outside of Zoom office hours. And in the video about our Canvas page, about navigating Canvas, I will show you the link to the Zoom office hours. So that's Monday and Thursday, 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's going to be a great way to ask me questions about the work that we're doing, or get feedback, get help developing ideas, working through a draft, whatever it is. I definitely recommend coming to Zoom office hours. It is one of the best ways to improve your grades this semester. I'm going to skip the course description because I already largely talked through this in the introductory video, but I'd encourage you to read everything in this syllabus that I don't go over in detail. In terms of the COVID-19 and remote asynchronous course format, so this is a variant of the course that Penn State's English department has developed. The things that you really want to know are in the second and third paragraph. This course is asynchronous, which means that we're not regularly meeting in person or via Zoom. You get to work through this course largely at your own pace, but the caveat to that is that there are established, obviously, start and end dates for the course and weekly deadlines throughout this semester. So we'll be talking more about what kinds of things you'll be doing on a week-to-week basis in another video, but for the most part you do need to be keeping up with the coursework as we go. But because the assignments are, the readings and the videos are at your own pace, and you have Wednesday and Sunday deadlines. So as long as you keep up with that, you should be set. I'm going to encourage you to read the learning outcomes on your own. They basically tell you what it is that you should be getting by the end of this semester. So that is worth taking a look at. Now, your one required textbook is a very small picture of what it looks like. It's Cortland Bovey and John V. Thill's Business Communication Essentials, the 8th edition from Pearson, published in 2008. You've got a link right here to the Penn State bookstore. It's worth considering getting a digital version of this book, in part because, so officially as a Penn State employee, I'm not allowed to run down the bookstore, but last semester one of the issues that they had with the books for English 15, and I think for some of the 202 courses as well, was they simply didn't have enough copies of them, and it took a long time to get those restocked. So officially I'm not allowed to tell you that things like Amazon and eBay and Abe Books and places like that sell textbooks, so I'm not going to officially tell you that. But you can buy a digital version of this book through the Pearson website, so that's another option that you have. And actually I think it's a little bit cheaper, so it's not a bad idea to do that. In addition to that, we're going to be watching a lot of videos through LinkedIn Learning. You will need to activate your free account, which you get through Penn State. And I've done another video on logging into LinkedIn Learning to make sure you can access these videos. So that's something that you are going to have to do. In addition, I strongly recommend that you use Microsoft Word for your formal assignments for this class. I know a lot of people like to compose in Pages or in Google Docs, but the reality is they just aren't as good at formatting projects the way that we need them formatted. Microsoft Word, Microsoft Office remains the standard for business, so I would recommend at the very least becoming familiar with that. And you can get a free version of Microsoft Office, including Word, by going to office365.psu.edu. You can either work with that online, or you can download that onto your computer. Again, I very strongly recommend doing that. In terms of the course requirements and grading, this is the section I know you've all been waiting for. So we have 5 major projects this semester: the topic approval proposal, the correspondence packet, the job application documents, the personal website, and the formal analytical report. Now, the topic approval proposal and the formal analytical report are interconnected. We'll learn more about that actually in the first week of our course. And then the other 3 are standalone projects, but we'll be developing related sets of skills throughout this semester. In addition to that, you have writing workshops and discussion forums, which will pretty much be due every week. Again, I'll go over those more in the video on workshops and discussions. Now, this is a major thing for you to be aware of. You must hand in all major projects to pass this course. So, if you miss any of these 5 projects, even though numerically none of them weighs enough that you would that you would drop down to an F, missing any of these means you automatically fail the class. So that is something to be aware of. That has happened in the past, and I don't want it to happen to any of you. So make sure you are turning in all of the major projects when they're due. Up on Canvas, you'll have assignment sheets for each of these major projects, and we'll also have a synchronous Zoom meeting to go over the assignment sheets. Each project should be grammatically and mechanically correct. That, for my money, that's not something that's in itself all that important, but in the professional world, we judge people based on their grammar and mechanics, and it's often taken to be an indication of how much you care about the person that you're writing to and how much you care about the thing that you're writing about. So grammar and mechanics will be a significant part of what we look at this semester, or what I grade on this semester. This is another thing to be aware of. Your due dates for everything that we do for this class will be 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the date assigned. So that includes major projects, workshops, discussion forums, responses to discussion forums, responses to workshops, etc., etc. Everything is due by 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're taking this course and you're not in Central Pennsylvania or the Eastern Standard Time Zone, make sure you know what time that deadline is wherever you happen to be in the world. Workshops and discussion forums I'm not going to talk too much about right now because I'm going to talk about them in a different video. The grading scale I'm not going to talk too much about either. This is the Lion Path grading scale used at Penn State. It is standardized, so everybody teaching English 202D is going to be using this grading scale. This is also the grading scale that Canvas uses. So everything that gets a letter grade in Canvas will automatically be adjusted to this point range. And I'm going to talk about grading standards in another video, so I'm not going to talk about that either. But again, these are all things that you should be reading on your own. In terms of policies, academic integrity, the basic components of academic integrity: don't commit plagiarism, don't commit fraud, don't cheat. It's fairly straightforward, I think, but if you're interested in learning more, the guidelines for the university's code of conduct, which explains both the penalties and which explains both the policies and the penalties, is available on our Canvas page. Also, if you have any questions about academic integrity, do feel free to ask me, and I will help answer them for you. If you have or think that you have a documented or documentable learning disability, you need to contact Penn State's Disability Accommodations people, the Student Disability Resources. You've got several links here. This is the main one that you want to use to apply for the documentation that you need for accommodations. So if you have a learning disability, you need to contact Disability Resources. They will get you a letter that you will then give to me, and we will figure out from there what kind of accommodations you need to be as successful as you possibly can be in this course. So that's the goal there. If you have been or have witnessed any sort of discrimination, harassment, intolerance, etc., etc., you can report that through the Affirmative Action webpage, and that link is right here. They are the people who investigate and resolve those kinds of issues. Counseling and psychological services. This is a really, really big one because over the past 10 or 15 years, rates of mental illness and mental distress have gone substantially up among students. So that includes everything from depression and anxiety to schizophrenia to homesickness to all different kinds of mental health issues. CAPS are the people who are here to help you with that. This is a service your tuition dollars have already paid for. So if you are feeling anxious, if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling anything like this, any of these sorts of issues, please, 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 please contact CAPS. They are there to help. Standards of classroom behavior, not quite as relevant this semester as normal because we aren't actually in a physical classroom, but this still does apply to things like the discussion forums and the workshops where you will be responding to your fellow students. Basically, the standard is be a decent human being. Be accepting, tolerant, supportive of your colleagues, and that's the main thing that we're looking for. Now, the last thing I want to show you in terms of the schedule, or in terms of the syllabus, is the course schedule. So this schedule is subject to change by me. Hopefully that won't be much of an issue, but if something comes up unexpectedly, I will let you know what sort of changes we're going through. Now, this schedule should be fairly easy to read, but I want to take you through the pieces of it just to make sure you know what we're doing. So, every week you have the dates of the week and a sort of overview of what we're doing. So, for week 1, it's introductions and fundamentals of business writing. So that's basically what we're looking at. When we have a synchronous Zoom meeting, I will list that at the top of that week. So on Thursday of this first week, so that's the 22nd, I think, but don't hold me to that. So on that Thursday, we'll do a synchronous Zoom meeting to discuss the topic approval proposal and formal analytical report assignments. I will send you out a doodle poll sometime probably the week before this, if not on the 19th, and we will figure out what time is going to work best for that meeting, for the most people. I'll explain that more when we get to that point. Following that, you have the things that you're responsible for reading that week. So usually there will be something or things up on Canvas, and usually there will be 1 to 2 chapters of our textbook Business Communication Essentials. And then you're usually going to be watching 1 or more videos. So this first week you're watching a bunch of them to help us orient ourselves in the class. Then, under that, you have your assignments for the week. So, by Wednesday, you need to post your initial discussion post under Introducing Myself. And then by Sunday, you need to reply. We see the same thing down here. Week 2, we've got our first workshop and workshop response. And when we get down to week 4, that's when your first project is due, the Sunday at the end of week 4. So, that's how you read the schedule. This should be fairly straightforward, but in addition to what we see in the schedule itself, I'll talk about this more in the video about navigating Canvas. You can go week by week through these modules, and they will help you sort of figure out exactly what's required of you that week.